Woof. Woof, woof.
There we go.
Let's talk about the fun and friendly internet.
Where's our...
Yeah, I just played it. You missed it.
Oh,
you didn't have your headphones
on. That's my favorite part.
You missed the Dig. And speaking of the Dig, we're going to talk about the Doge.
The Doge. We're going to get into Doge. We've had several requests to talk about Dogecoin, so here we go.
The fun and friendly internet currency.
And Robinhood, we're going to get into that with the app.
So first we got to start off. So Dogecoin.
Dogecoin started in 2015.
No, Dogecoin started in 2013. It was pretty much it was an offshoot of Bitcoin, right? So you had the regular blockchain, which there's an encryption method called SHA-256. Creates this thing like a hex, a bunch of letters and numbers, and there's a process to moving those back and forth with a key that actually says, okay, I've translated it, and so now I know the information that was encrypted, stored within that, the metadata has been exposed. Yes, this was here, this was here, two people agreed on it, and then it's written to the chain, blah, blah, blah. There's your ledger. Now, that uses a thing called SHA-256.
Not Heath Ledger.
No, not Heath Ledger. It takes time and resources to decrypt something because you're essentially moving pieces back and forth, right? The code has to go in there, and it's constantly running an algorithm to decrypt this with the key. Now, the difference that happened here is that Dogecoin adopted one of the fundamental changes in encryption when Litecoin came out. And it uses the thing called Scrypt. Scrypt is a less resource-intensive encryption-decryption method that goes on for the coin itself. So you have SHA-256, which requires resources and time, like 8 minutes, maybe 7 or 8 minutes to decrypt it, or write it to the chain for the block. And then you have the Scrypt, which Litecoin was the fundamental base, which takes around 2.5 to 3 minutes. So I have a difference of 5 minutes of processing time, essentially, where I'm saving on energy. It's more economically efficient for me to mine this block to essentially say, oh, this in fact happened, to process it because of the Scrypt encryption algorithm that Litecoin was using. So Dogecoin's like, well, why don't we just use something that's more efficient? And then also at the same time, let's whip it up. And as essentially this internet subculture is out here based on memes, which we know has a lot of pull on society right now, memes. Let's use the Doge, the Shiba Inu, place it on here, and this will be this fun and friendly internet currency. And then, of course, who's big into memes? Ye old Pied Piper, Elon Musk, right? Calling everybody out, come out of the city, come follow me. And he says, well, Dogecoin, that thing's going to the moon. And the second he starts talking about it, saying he owns it, you need to buy it, all the stuff of that nature, this thing shoots up in its value. Now people want to put it on exchanges.
Yeah, I think it's like 46 cents or something like that.
Yeah, it's on crypto.com right now.
Yeah.
Right? So everybody wants to trade this thing. It's almost like every time there's an ICO, right? It's like an IPO. It's going to bump for a bit because all the guys want to make their money real quick. They want to shove off the liability and put it onto the public and have them eat up all the liability, and they get paid cash in return.
Well, it's also interesting, like yesterday, Elon Musk came out on Twitter and said because of the amount of energy it takes, that way they won't be accepting Bitcoin for Tesla. So then Bitcoin drops 15%. So he says stuff like Saturday Night Live. He came out, him and his wife were on Saturday Night Live with Miley Cyrus, and then he mentions Dogecoin and things pop. What people are concerned about, and this is where I would want to know, like if they are all assets, which we talked about that last podcast, which you need to understand, not a cryptocurrency, an asset. Can you talk about it if you own it and manipulate the price and then purchase on the, could Elon Musk throw it like yesterday he did, and he knocked Bitcoin down 15%, buy on the dip, that he created.
Those are like blackout dates for people in corporations.
Yes.
So if you're a corporation that has public shares and there's going to be a big change coming out, you're restricted from doing any trading.
Yes.
So
that's not happening.
It doesn't
right
have
now.
that right now, right?
Yeah. And I know then Tom Brady the other day, because now on Twitter you can change your profile picture to have laser eyes.
Yeah.
And then that means you're like a Bitcoin advocate, which is like a mean thing.
There's a guy on Twitter called Pomp.
Yes, Pomp. Yeah. He has a podcast.
He's got the laser eyes with the tornado.
But Tom Brady just did that and put his laser eyes on his profile.
Yeah.
So everybody's like, oh my God, the GOAT loves Bitcoin. So then whoosh.
Yeah, they put laser eyes on the Doge all the time.
Yeah.
And again, they call it an internet currency. Nothing about it is currency. It has a fee. it is irrevocably tied
Well,
to
and they're
fiat
like
currency.
billions of Dogecoin too.
So they started off with 100 billion
Right.
that they sent out. They hit that cap in like a second.
Right.
And so they instituted another 5 billion. And so the centralized authority
Yeah, which is Doge.
just keeps making more of it.
Right. And I know they say we'll get into Robinhood, because Robinhood's got the biggest trader for Dogecoin. So they say that Robinhood owns, billions of dollars worth of this.
Well, yeah. So what happened with Robinhood the other day?
Well, yeah.
So there was so much volatility of trading, volume of trading, that was happening on Robinhood. It actually brought down, they had a systems failure, which is frankly to me a bullshit excuse. Do not list the thing if you physically can't handle it. If your code's crap and you're not going to be able to handle the volumes because you haven't done the proper QA testing on this thing, you can run false trading, like, simulated trading, and you can just jack those values up. But apparently they didn't suspect what was actually going to happen, anticipate what was going to happen, right? So it's creating intermittent issues. So what happens when the volume starts to create like this weird arbitrage opportunity, because a majority of the volume of the trading is going through Robinhood, and people are like, oh, or do you want to sell it? Who do you go to at that point? Do you go to Robinhood and said, I had a sell order in and your system's broke?
Well, this was the problem with Robinhood and GameStop, and then all these holding companies, are owning Robinhood. So they're like, are these big boys using these little investors, on Robinhood to maximize profits?
Of course they are. And then when something breaks, I mean,
did it break? The conspiracy theory is, did it break? And if it did break in that time frame, who did it benefit?
Robinhood, show us the log.
Yeah.
You know who it benefits? It benefits people that have hedging strategies.
Yes.
It also benefits those who sit outside of the exchange and trade Doge on something else or whatever it's linked to. Right? Anytime there's volatility at play, somebody has an option on it.
Yes.
In some way, shape, or form, there's a derivative.
People
right?
have to realize that. Yes.
Yeah. No hedge fund goes into the game without countering their own position.
And just like Google and everywhere else with their algorithms, people do not realize how smart. You think the guy that's the top mathematician at MIT is going to work for the government? Maybe.
Yeah.
But more than likely, he's going to get picked up by a hedge fund.
He's going to pick. You want to have the hedge funds do that? Because hedge funds aren't in the game to lose.
Yes, exactly.
They're in the information game. And the question is, who can execute the order faster?
Yeah, and is this information something that we only have?
Yeah. Isn't that funny how important data is?
Yes.
Is data driving the price? Imagine if you knew ahead of time that everybody was going to be doing this huge Dogecoin rally on Robinhood. Instead, they did sentiment analysis on Twitter with what Elon was saying, and then just everybody floods in. You only get the information after the fact, and then your system breaks because your system's fundamentally founded on lagging indicators. Congratulations. That's what happens when you try to put out fires all day long.
So how could Dogecoin, Tesla, these companies, because these are kind of like, when you look at Robinhood, you look at Tesla, you look at Bitcoin, you look at a lot of these blockchain companies, we see the wave of the future. Industrial 4.0, we see that. TARTLE's there at the forefront of all this. I want you to explain to people the importance of having accurate first-party data.
When you have accurate first-party data, you can be objective. You can self-check your biases and spare yourself on stupid decisions that waste resources. If I know exactly what's going to happen from the people who are going to do it, how can I make the wrong choice? I know how to act ahead of time. I don't put out fires. I don't wait for the storm to happen and then prepare. What good does that do for anybody? If I want to understand how a market moves, if I want to understand the demand people have for a specific product or service, you have to go to them directly. Because the supporting function, the fabric of civilization, the fabric of finance, the fabric of economics and politics are people. And if you don't understand their minds and their thoughts, you don't understand anything.
That makes so much sense. So let's say I sign up for tartle.co.
Yes.
And we have T-Coin. and that we're fixing to release that, and that's going to be coming out.
It's
like
a
the
reward system.
Yeah, and we have to say that. But what would be the difference between T-Coin and Dogecoin? So people know.
Okay, T-Coin is a system of chains sovereignly owned by the individual. The reason so much money is getting pumped out, and it takes so much time to process a block, is because it's all these different nodes that support one single chain. It's like on a highway that's 30 lanes wide, and you're trying to fit all those cars into 2 lanes. George Washington Bridge problem every single day. Too much volume going into too little of a surface area. So what if every individual had their own chain and surface area? That's a fundamental difference. Oh, and on top of that, if you remove the aspects of a fee, well then, if I have asynchronous timing, if I have no fees, and the value of this reward is directly tied to human work, now I have a real currency. I have something that truly flows. I have something that's actually matched with the input that's going in. You can put work in all day long doing day trading. Are you going to get the payout you want? Absolutely not. More than likely, you're going to lose. You don't have the information, and you don't have the processing power to compete. That's just a fundamental fact, right? You can get lucky, but how many times can you flip a penny or a quarter on heads? Only so many times.
Yes.
All right? And then that 0.5 probability multiplied out to whatever n amount of times, it becomes immensely improbable after like 11 flips. All right? So why don't we get rid of the ridiculous probabilities, get rid of the time issue, get rid of the centralization issue, and always consistently have the power of this reward back in the hands of the individual and reward them for their work when they do the work rather than the hopes of doing the work and getting a reward later. That's the thing that fundamentally changes the fabric of society.